all the way from Minneapolis. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. We have a breaking news. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has warned that Russia would face devastating consequences if it attacks Ukraine again after any future peace deal. Speaking in Poland alongside Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, Rutte has outlined a three-layer security guarantee system aimed at deterring renewed Russian aggression. Rutte further explains the Ukrainian security guarantees. Let's listen in.
Putin has to know that after a peace deal, if he would try to attack Ukraine again, the reaction will be devastating. And this is exactly how we are designing these security guarantees. And the security guarantees, as they are currently being designed, have three layers. Layer one is the Ukrainian armed forces. They will be, of course, like in Poland and everywhere in NATO territory, in this case outside NATO territory, in Ukraine, will be the first line of defense. The second line of defense is, of course, what the coalition of the willing under the leadership of the United Kingdom and France have been designing over the last couple of months. How can the Europeans help here, together with Canada, to make sure that the peace will be sustained? And the US, and this is the third element of this, the American president said in August that he wants the US to be part of those security guarantees. And at the moment, discussions are ongoing what that exactly would mean and how then this collective package of security guarantees would look like. That's currently the debate going on. It's extremely important because indeed, after a peace deal, if not NATO, and NATO for practical reasons is not possible now, how do we prevent a further attack?
Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Raymond Vickery. He's an international affairs expert and former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, a lot of comments coming in towards Russia today, looking at the latest one from Mark Rutte, that Russia would face devastating consequences. What is your analysis?
Well, thanks very much for having me. A peace like war has to have a strategy, and that strategy has to involve partners, and it has to involve principles. Unfortunately, at this point, the United States under President Trump has opted for a transactional approach rather than a strategic approach. The remarks that you just heard are a reflection of Europe trying to fill the gap in terms of a strategy for peace. There are two basic holdups in regard to the ending of the war, the invasion by Russia of Ukraine. One of them is territory, in which Russia wants a territory that it does not even control at this point. And the second one is security guarantees, because it means absolutely nothing if you have a ceasefire and simply allow Russia to reload, reorganize, to continue the war at a later time, to take over Ukraine and to try to restore the old Russian Empire. In 1994, in Budapest, in return for Ukraine giving up its nuclear weapons, the United States, Russia, United Kingdom all guaranteed the sovereignty and independence of Ukraine. But of course, that didn't amount to anything because there were not the mechanism, the troops on the ground, the fighting forces to enforce that guarantee when Russia invaded in its worst violation of UN Charter since the end of World War II. So now we're trying to come up with a guarantee which will mean something in terms of the ongoing independence of Ukraine. The remarks you just heard are an indication that at least parts of Europe are willing to do that. The United States seems willing to do that, but again, that is not known in view of the national security strategy, which has just been issued which basically throws Europe under the bus and says, Europe, you take care of the problem yourself. Nevertheless, one hopes that the security guarantee part of this will amount to something. If it's not going to be an Article 5 NATO style, it has to be something very similar, which Russia will respect. And at this point, it is not willing to respect any such guarantee.
Yes, 100%, and thank you for shedding light on the background and laying it out all there for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond. Please stay with us. Now we stay on this discussion. As a result of the EU summit, EU leaders to ask EU institutions to urgently adopt instruments establishing a reparation loan based on the cash balances associated with Russia's immobilized assets. EU leaders want the reparations loan to provide financial support for Ukraine as from the second quarter of 2026, including its military needs. German Chancellor